social media caused me to get a divorce. Like, that's dumb. That's a mistake. Let me explain.
This is about to be one of those videos where I'm like, why is this on the internet? But continue.
My own feelings of uncertainty and unhappiness for a while. I hate telling people this, but like, I had thoughts on my wedding day, and I thought that was just super normal. And I was in the haze of being a new mom. We got pregnant very early in our relationship.
This is yet another perfect example of how women fall in love with the process of being in love rather than the actual person that they're marrying. And once the excitement of the wedding and having a baby and all of those things die out and reality smacks them in the face, they wake up and realize, oh shit, I think I made the wrong decision. And in this case, a lot of these women already know on their wedding day or before they even have children that they don't want to be with these people in the first place, which I think is very, very selfish.
We got pregnant very early in our relationship on purpose, which, again, another story for another day. But, you know, being a new mom, I had 2 kids, 2 young kids, and I was just in survival mode. So I really didn't have a lot of time to think about me or what I wanted or what I was feeling. I was just in kind of like autopilot. And I think that's probably why if you go back on my page, you'll see any videos of me talking about my husband where like I make us out to be like the happiest couple ever, which we're not unhappy. There is actually not a lot of tea here. There's not a lot of like jealousy or animosity or a big story.
So what's the problem?
Exactly.
I'm confused.
Or anything that was wrong. It just also wasn't right.
Then she goes on a 2-minute rant about how she got into therapy and her therapist is telling her that she's just a people pleaser and this is why she's made such poor decisions to begin with. So it strips her of any real accountability. She even says that she got on the internet and realized that other women felt the same way that she did, and that's why she felt it was relatable in how she was feeling as well. I'm telling you, social media will influence these women in a direction that they don't want to be in because now she's a single mother of 2 kids.
Crazy.
And she even goes on to state that there was no tea, there was no abuse, there was nothing, and it was pretty much like she just woke up one day and...
See, now this is the problem, right? She was on the right path. Young woman, man probably had enough money, right? They had enough to survive. No complaints. Why did you do it then? Who is she listening to? You already know. You're watching these women on social media. You already know their names, right? Saying, oh, a man should be doing this. A man should be doing that. That's why when you get married, you only should listen to people that are married, that are happily married, right? You can't listen to a modern woman that's on the verge of getting divorced because nowadays, talking to a woman in the U.S. that's married, you're setting yourself up for trouble, right? Talk to a woman in another country that's married that truly understands it. Yeah, I'm married for a long amount of years who's happy. She's going to tell you, look, it's not smooth sailing. From what the girl stated, no problems at all. But you know what? Women get marriage fatigue earlier than men, and this is what's causing the dating market to be where it is now. Maybe I'll go to the next video.
Have social media platforms become the puppet masters controlling our relationships? In our digital age, social media has woven itself into the fabric of our daily lives. It's where we share our triumphs, our struggles, and even our midday meals. With just a few taps, we can connect with people across the globe, opening up a world of diverse opinions and perspectives. It's a powerful tool, but with great power comes great responsibility. Consider this: social media isn't just a stage for our lives, it's also a stage for other people's ideas. It's a marketplace where everyone is selling something. Sometimes it's a product, other times it's an idea, a lifestyle, or an ideology. And often these messages are not just passively consumed, but actively influence our thoughts and decisions. Now let's bring this into the context of relationships. Imagine a woman, full-grown and mature, who allows herself to be swayed by the narrative spun on social media. She begins to question her own life, her own choices. Suddenly her marriage isn't as glamorous as the ones she sees online. The everyday routine of motherhood pales in comparison to the highlight reels of other women's lives. Here's the kicker: this woman isn't a hapless victim. She's an adult, capable of discernment and judgment. She has the power to question why certain users are pushing certain narratives. But instead, she allows herself to be swept away by the current of social media influence. We're setting the stage for a story of a woman who blames social media for her divorce. Not her decisions, not her actions, but social media. It's a tale as old as time with a modern twist. The villain isn't a wicked witch or an evil stepmother, but the very platforms that we scroll through every day. As we delve into this story, ask yourself, can social media really be the cause of a divorce? Or is it just an easy scapegoat for our own inability to take responsibility for our choices? Stay tuned as we unravel this modern tale of love, marriage, and the power of social media. Imagine life without Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. What was this woman's life like before the advent of social media? Let's rewind a little and delve into that era. Our woman, let's call her Jane, lived in a time when letters were written on paper and photos were developed in dark rooms, a time when she'd have to wait for the evening news to know what was happening around the world. Jane was a woman of aspirations and dreams, much like any of us. She dreamt of a loving partner, a cozy home, and the pitter-patter of little feet running around. Jane found her partner, a man who was caring, supportive, and hardworking. He was a man who believed in the sanctity of marriage and the joys of parenthood. Together, they built a life that was simple yet beautiful. They shared dreams, laughter, and the occasional argument over whose turn it was to do the dishes. Jane was also a mother. She embraced motherhood with all its trials and tribulations. She wore her baby's spit-up like a badge of honor and swapped her designer bags for diaper bags. Late-night parties turned into late-night feedings and trendy cafes turned into playgrounds. Yet, she found joy in these changes, in the tiny hands that reached out for her, in the toothless smiles that greeted her every morning. Her world was smaller, yet it was filled with personal interactions, shared experiences, and genuine relationships. She found contentment in the simple pleasures of life. A well-cooked meal, a good book, a family outing. She didn't need the validation of likes or shares to feel accomplished or loved. Her life, while not perfect, was real. It was filled with love, laughter, tears, and triumphs. It was a life lived on her own terms, in her own little corner of the world, away from the prying eyes of 1,000 strangers. It seems like a simple, fulfilling life, doesn't it? But then, social media happened. Enter the digital age, where social media reigns supreme. How did it change this woman's life? As the world goes digital, so did Our Lady of the Hour. She found herself drawn into the vastness of the virtual world, where every opinion, every thought, every perspective was just a click away. This was a world that she had never experienced before, a world that was so different from her own. She was enamored, she was fascinated, and she was hooked. She began to explore the world of social media, clicking through posts and profiles, scrolling through comments and likes. Every new post was an adventure, every new perspective a revelation. She found herself spending hours, days even, engrossed in this digital world, soaking in the thoughts and opinions of others. As she delved deeper into the world of social media, she began to question her own life. She read about women who were living the dream, traveling the world, pursuing their passions, all while being single and childless. She saw posts about the struggles of marriage and motherhood, the sacrifices, the compromises, the lost opportunities. These posts, these opinions, they resonated with her. They made her question her own choices, her own life, her marriage, her family, the life that she had built with her husband. It all seemed to pale in comparison to the lives she saw on social media. She began to question her relationship with her husband. Was she happy? Was she fulfilled? Was this the life that she wanted? What started as a harmless exploration of the digital world soon turned into a journey of self-doubt and dissatisfaction. The posts, the comments, the likes, they all had an impact, a profound impact. They made her question her life, her choices, her happiness, and in the end, they led to the unthinkable, a divorce. The impact of social media was profound. It supposedly led to the unthinkable, a divorce. While the woman was grappling with her changing mindset, what about her husband? Did he do anything wrong? Let's take a moment to explore the husband's perspective. Here was a man who, by all accounts, was a dedicated provider for his family. He was a pillar of strength, a beacon of love and commitment. He wasn't just a husband, he was a partner, a teammate, a co-navigator through the journey of life. This man didn't just fall in love with the idea of marriage, he fell in love with the reality of it. The good and the bad, the ups and the downs, the joy and the heartache. He understood that marriage wasn't always a bed of roses, but he was ready and willing to navigate the thorns because he believed in the beauty of what they had. He embraced fatherhood with open arms, not just the novelty of a newborn, but the long-term responsibility that comes with raising a child. He was there for the midnight feedings, the school drop-offs, the scraped knees and the bedtime stories. He wasn't just a father, he was a dad. When his wife started to change, he was confused. He tried to understand, to adapt, to support. But how do you fight against an invisible enemy? How do you compete with the allure of a picture-perfect life that exists only in the digital world? This man didn't cheat. He wasn't violent. He did everything he could to provide for his family and show them love. Yet, he found himself on the receiving end of a divorce he didn't ask for, didn't want, and didn't understand. It's heartbreaking to think that he became a casualty in this social media war. A good man, a devoted father, an understanding husband, left to pick up the pieces of a shattered family. In this scenario, it seems like the husband was a casualty of the social media war. Every action has a consequence. What were the repercussions of this woman's decision? Our tale takes a somber turn as we delve into the aftermath of the divorce. The woman, once buoyant with the promise of a new start, now faced the harsh reality of her choices. The fallout was not just hers to bear, but also her ex-husband's and their children's. In the wake of the divorce, the woman found herself in a sea of emotional turmoil. The excitement and novelty she yearned for morphed into a bitter cocktail of loneliness and regret. Her ex-husband, the man who had been nothing but loyal, was left to pick up the pieces of a broken family. Despite his efforts to provide and care for his family, he was now facing the reality of a life he had not chosen. A life without the woman he had committed to, without the daily joy of his children's laughter. The woman soon realized that the grass wasn't greener on the other side. The allure of the social media lifestyle was but a mirage, an illusion that promised happiness but delivered emptiness. The posts, the likes, the comments, they were fleeting, transient, a far cry from the warmth of a loving family, the joy of nurturing children, the comfort of a caring partner. She began to understand the folly of her decision, the mistake of being swayed by the superficial charm of social media. It wasn't the family life that was mundane, it was the unrealistic expectations set by the digital world that were at fault. The consequence of her actions was a life lesson that came too late. A realization that the dazzle of social media often hides the reality of life. It's a double-edged sword that can make or break relationships. In the end, the woman realized the harsh truth. Social media is a double-edged sword that can make or break relationships. So, what's the takeaway from this story? We've seen how powerful social media can be, with its ability to influence and shape perceptions. We've walked through the life of this woman, before and after her encounter with social media. It's clear that her initial euphoria of marriage and motherhood was replaced with discontentment, largely influenced by the virtual world. We've also heard from the husband, a man who provided and cared, yet ended up facing the brunt of a decision that wasn't his to make. And finally, we've uncovered the consequences, the aftermath that this woman now has to navigate. The key here isn't to demonize social media, but to emphasize the importance of discernment. It's crucial to differentiate between the curated, often idealized versions of life we see online and the realities of our own existence. Remember, social media is a tool. It's up to us how we use it. Let it be a platform for connection, not a reason for disconnection. If you like this video, please don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe with bell notifications, and share.